How are you fine gentlemen and ladies doing this evening? We're back with another video, second one. We're doing pretty good. Without further ado, welcome to the He Gone Sports Podcast. So, now we are over 2 weeks removed from the NS All-Star break, so I think it's no better time than to do a little most improved team since the All-Star break. And I think to start out, we're going to go with our number 5 team, the Washington Wizards. Yeah, going not even winning a game after the All-Star break, and even before the All-Star break, not winning a single game. That really gets your team going. They have somehow fallen below the Pistons on the standings now for the Eastern Conference. It's embarrassing. We all thought that the Pistons were gonna have one of the worst records of all time. They actually are a little bit improved. They're not gonna have one of the worst records in NBA history now. Looks like Washington could be, but other than that, obviously that was a little troll. There's no way that I would put them in a improved list. But yeah, so to get into the real list, I think number 5, you gotta put them in here somewhere. I don't want to put them any higher than 5 because oh wow, you're the best team in the league, but I think the Celtics are much improved after the All-Star break. They almost have a, let's see, what are the exact numbers? They had a 122.6 offensive rating for this season, and then after the All-Star break, they have a 131.2. And I know it might be a little bit inflated from their 50-point win the other day, but still, this is the best team in the league, and they're even better now. Defensively, they were 111, and now they are all the way down to 108. So they're just getting better. There's nothing to say about it. They are 5-1 after the break. They've only lost one game, and they're the best team in the league, and they keep getting better. So number 2, the number 4 team that we're going to talk about here is the Hawks. And I know what you're thinking. How are you going to put the Hawks in there when no one even talks about the Hawks right now? But the Hawks have been sneakily getting much, much better. Defensively wise, they were a bottom 3 defensive team. I mean, terrible. They gave up so many points. No one else, for a team that has the talent that they have, for how bad defensively they were, it's really the reason why they're not above 500 right now. But since the All-Star break, they've actually been a top 10 defensive team. They are currently at 10 for defensive rating, and I think that's one of the reasons why they're doing a little bit better. They are 4-3 after the break, so they're still finding their way. But for being a team below 500 and going at least 500, one of the criteria that I had for this top 5 was that you at least had to have a positive record since the All-Star break. There were a lot of teams that had a better record than these guys, and a lot of other teams that were 4-3 just like them. But I just felt that it wouldn't be right to take a list and then just have the teams with the best records. I thought we'd have to bring at least one team in that doesn't have an extremely good record after the All-Star break, but overall they're getting much, much better. And I know offensively they got worse, but so far almost every single team has got worse offensively. The Celtics are one of the only teams that have gone up, and then a team you're going to see next on the list is another team that went up offensively. But other than that, a lot of teams saw a decline in offense after the All-Star break. But the Hawks themselves, they declined in offensive rating only 3 points. So it's not a huge decline. It's not like these guys are terrible at offense all of a sudden. They're still a really good offensive team, and they always have been, and they will be for the rest of the season. But going that low doesn't really do much when you're that big of a boost in defensively. So overall, this is a much improved team, and it's really going to help them because before the All-Star break, I don't believe that they were into the tournament, but now they are the 10 seed, so they'll be in the, if season end today, they'll be in the tournament to get into the playoffs. And I think with the way that their defense is going right now and the way that they're on the up and up, I really do think that they could get close. I don't think they could get to that 6 seed, but I think that they could get into at least an 8 seed, where if they win their first game, they're in, and they don't have to win 2 to get in. But overall, I really like what they've done so far. I really like the defensive switch there, and I guess we'll go on to the next team from there. This next team is one of my favorite teams to watch right now, the Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic. Whoa. You know it. You know the song. They've been playing a lot lately, huh? 7-1, best record since the All-Star break. We love to see it. And a big reason why is what I was saying earlier. They were actually a bottom 10 offensive team, and now since the All-Star break, they're actually a top 10 offensive team, which is kind of wild to see. Such a big improvement in offense when a lot of other teams, like I said, are not having a very good season right now. Good after All-Star break offensive. But other than that, their defense is actually improved again. They were number 4 in defensive rating before the All-Star break, and now they've jumped up to 2. So really why they're 7-1 from the All-Star break is because their defense is still so great, and now their offense is catching up. This team is currently 4th, which is crazy to see because no one really saw the Magic doing anything this year, but the fact that they're up to even 4 now is really cool to see. I think Paulo's having a really good season. He finally had his first All-Star season. They have a lot of role players. Like, I think they don't have Bogdan, but they have his brother, but they're not brothers. Bogdanovich, he's been doing well. Joe Ingles is on that team. Weird to see Joe Ingles still playing because he looks old. He plays old, and he is old, but he's not old enough to be out of the league yet. So we love to see him. I'm a Bucks fan, so I'd love to see him on the team last year. I hate Kyle Anderson though. God, slow-mo sucks. Yeah. So what are we saying? The Magic are probably my favorite team right now to watch, just because they're so much fun. I love the creativeness of that social media team, and Shaq does too. Apparently, he started singing it on national TV. We love that. Let's go to number 2. We have the Warriors. The Warriors, and a lot like the rest of the teams in this list for being an improved team. They are 6-2. They have a really good record so far. This is a team that, just like the Lakers, were kind of a bad team, and we're like, what's going on? These guys were, one of them, the Lakers, were in the conference finals last year, and now they're barely in the play-in. And the Warriors as well, they just won a championship 2 years ago, went to the playoffs last year, and now they're in the play-in as well, and they're the 2 worst teams in the play-in. And I don't know what's going on with them. But now after the All-Star break, Klay Thompson's still on the bench. They're looking to be really, really good right now. 6-2, like I said. That's very good. And a lot like these other teams, their defensive rating has gone up and up. They were 18 going in, and now outside of the All-Star break, we are now up to 4 in the defensive rating, which is a massive, massive, massive jump. And offensively, like I said, a lot of teams are worse offensively. They're one of those teams. They're not so worse offensively. And again, the numbers, I mean, honestly, it's impressive that the Warriors are 4 with their defense, with how bad of a game they played against the Celtics. But that's pretty impressive. That means that the rest of their games have been extremely good. And their offense going down, like I said, Celtics game, gonna deflate those numbers. So overall, their offense is good, middle of the pack, but their defense is extremely, extremely good compared to what they were. So now defense is coming back. Defense is winning championships again, and it's a big reason why a lot of these teams on this list are improving, is because their defense is finally doing something and stopping runs and stopping points and being able to win games. You need defense to win games, and I really like what they're doing. Clay on the bench has been probably one of the best things we've seen in a long time, since probably a couple seasons ago when they finally made Russ go on the bench and he finally said okay. Carmelo going on the bench. It's just something that these guys have to do at some point, because you're not going to be a good player forever. Even if you are one of the best of all time, you're not going to stay the best of all time for very long. It's a young man's game. It always has been, always will be, except for if you're LeBron, because you're apparently father time itself. But other than that, going to the bench at some point is what you need. I think LeBron is either, same with LeBron, I think he is either going to end up going to the bench if he really wants to play with his son. He's going to be on the bench by that time, because I don't see him actually being a starter and being able to help a team win 3 years from now, because I don't also see Bronny James getting to the league in the next 2 years. But overall, everyone has to go to the bench at some point, and his time is coming. Klay Thompson's time did come. He could see himself back in the lineup by playoff time, but I think with the way things are going right now, I think it's cool to see him on the bench. I think it gives a boost to that bench, because their bench has not been amazing this year. So seeing a bench improvement with him being there is really great. And I'm kind of just stumbling for time right now, because I'm going to ramble on about this next team. Ramble, because that next team is my very own Milwaukee Bucks. Yes. You can call me biased all you want, but it's true. The Bucks are the most improved team in the NBA since the All-Star break. We all heard the rumors about Doc being a terrible coach. We were 3-7 going into the All-Star break with Doc at the helm. People were saying that he's terrible. He's going to ruin another team like he always does. And he went on this media tour during the All-Star break talking crap about how it wasn't his fault and the franchise really threw him into a bad situation, and that he didn't want to take the spot when he did, but he had to because he's being a good guy. I mean, could you just shut up and play basketball or coach basketball, please? We don't need to hear all this dumb crap out of you. Just do your job. It shouldn't have to just like, oh no, I got thrown in here. Oh gosh, what am I going to do? You've been a coach for a long time. You should be able to figure it out a little bit. But apparently he knew what he was talking about, because this team has been quite good since the All-Star break. They are 6-1, which they just finally got their first loss the other night. So they were 6-0, and that 6-0 run came against the Timbs in the first game, which I went to that game. It was a really good game. This heckler in front of me really hated the fact that we traded for Damian Lillard, but hey, win's a win. But and they went to Philly and beat Philly. They also beat the Clippers in this as well. I think those are the three best wins so far from the run, from the 6-win run. But yeah, I mean, this was a team that was looking to fade, and they came back strong after the All-Star break and beat a lot of good teams. The Celtics, we're gonna have to see if we can beat the Celtics at any point, because they still are the marquee team, the team to beat this year. But one of the big reasons why the Bucks have improved a lot is they're 8.7 points better in defensive rating, which they were a middle of the pack team, number 15 overall, and now they're the number one defensive team in the league. So far from the All-Star break, they're the number one defensive team in the league. And I think a big part of that is trading for Pat Bev. You really want that intensity from him. I felt a lot throughout this year that the team just wasn't meshing very well. There was not a lot of cohesion between them. But when you bring in Pat Bev's one of the best bench guys, one of the best locker room guys. He really brought that team together. He's getting people together. You see it on his podcast sometimes. Shout out his podcast. You see it on his podcast sometimes that he, like what he said earlier this week about how he was talking with Dame and really like, hey Dame, I want you to go talk to the guys and like tell them what you are and who you are, and not play so passive. And another thing is talking to people about how they guard and talking to people about how they play and how he can fit in. It's just something that we haven't seen yet this season from this Milwaukee Bucks team, is that just togetherness that Pat Bev just brought. They finally signed Gallinari after it was rumored for a week. He didn't sign for a while, but then he signed. He's been decent. He's old. He's not going to get a lot of minutes on this team because he just came in and we got a lot of good guys on this team. But when he is in, he's good. He get that putback dunk he had, massive. He's a good offensive player. He's a decent defensive player. He's getting minutes. He's not scoring a lot of points, but he's getting minutes. And you know why? Because he's good on defense, and he's a good facilitator, and he does what he needs. And I think that's one of the best parts about this Bucks team since the All-Star break is really everyone finding their roles. Bobby Portis has gone off since the All-Star break. He went off since the All-Star break. He's up to 17 points per game now, and that's as a six-man. So he's one of the best six-mans in the league right now. And, of course, defensively, he's been really good. Brook Lopez is one of the best defensive players in the league so far. Giannis took a big regression in defense throughout the season, but now he's getting back to it. He's really doing well again. Damian Lillard's doing well on defense now. And I think our three-point shooting has actually really been improved since the All-Star break because I feel like we were an okay three-point team, but we weren't hitting the three-pointers at the moments that we needed to. We needed to be a lot better at hitting threes in clutch moments when we wanted to, and we've started to do that now. Dame has improved his efficiency because there were moments where he wasn't really efficient in that first half, but now he's been really efficient. And yeah, I think overall our offensive rating went down, which again, a lot of teams do, but when your defensive rating goes from 15 to 1, and we're talking almost a 10-point jump in that's crazy. You're not going to win against teams like that. I mean, Minnesota was the best defensive team in the league going into the All-Star break, and they're the best team in the league. Number 2 was the Celtics. They're the best team in their league. It's defense wins championships, and the Bucks figured out how to play defense now. They had no idea how to play defense throughout the year. Griffin was a terrible defensive coach. His schemes were bad. Doc Rivers was kind of getting the team to figure it out a little bit before the break. I think that's why we were so bad before the break. It was a new system, and we didn't really understand it too much. But then after the break, we really got time to understand it, and so now I think that we're a much better defensive team now. I think throughout the rest of the year, I think we will continue to be a top 5 defensive team, and I think don't quote me on this, but we could give the Celtics a run for their money. There's not a huge amount of games left, but we're not down by that much. We could give them a big run for their money. So watch out, Celtics fans. Hey, and with that, I've given you the top 5 most improved teams in the NBA since the All-Star break. And I'm right, all right? Don't come in the comments this time and tell me I don't know ball, because I know ball. I know ball. I don't want to hear any more I don't know ball in the comments, all right? Because I am that guy. I know ball. Good night.